Okay, so I've tested up the water. Now, there is a tiny bit of ammonia in the water. I think I want to alter the filter a little bit because seeing all these dry media aren't really doing anything. And also the fact that the redox potential was low because there wasn't many bubbles and we didn't have the surface agitation means that the little bit of bacteria that's building up in there, I'm getting a very small ammonia reading. I'd like that a little bit yellower. To me, that's got a little bit of a greeny tinge to it. Nitrite, I'm going to say there's maybe a tiny bit, if not nothing. Nitrate is pretty well nothing. There's not much nitrate. So there's not a lot of nutrients in this tank. That means the animals are not being overfed and there are not too many animals. But at the same time, considering there's only one animal in this tank, I'd like all those levels even lower. Now, the pH is slightly alkaline, which is fine for these animals. I'd prefer it a bit lower, but I'm not worried about that at all. KH is a little bit on the high side. It's 8. It's totally fine, but a little bit on the high side. So today I'm not going to add any carbonate. And then the GH was sort of around 16, so a little bit on the high side. So today when I do a water change, I'm only going to add water ager. I'm not going to add any KH or GH powders. So that is something that I want to keep an eye on. Okay, so as the aquarium inspector, something that I do like to do is inspect your aquarium stuff. So let's have a look at what you've got. We've got some sinking wafers. I'm quite happy with that. That's quite a good little food for these fish. We've got some carnivore pellets. Quite happy with that. That's good little food for these fish. We've got some Amtrite down. That's a very attractive man. Look at that man. That is a very good looking guy. See? I got that photo in when I was 18 and I have no inspiration to change it. Very attractive. Now this is Amtrite down. This is a bacterial product, but it's really better kept in the fridge once you've opened it. So that's fine, but for future reference, bacteria products better in the fridge. So let's think about that. We have some goldfish pellets. I'm more a fan of that one than this one, but a little bit of variety, no harm. We have some algae fix. Now, algae fix is quite good in a good circumstance for clearing up water. In this aquarium, being inside, I think I could quite easily control this aquarium without requiring this product. So I don't really think I need that. There's another thing of carnivore pellets. That's okay. Now let's see what else we got in here. We've got a gravel cleaner. Wonderful anytime we do a water change to clean the crap out of the bottom. And we have a heater. We definitely don't need a heater because walking fish are cold water. But in saying that, I also want to be very conscious of realistic expectations. So I've been into aquariums since I was in grade 5 and I've always loved them. But I've always been pretty conscious of my expectations. When you set up a tank, you make it look nice. And the way it seems to work, being a little bit realistic, is that you set it up, you make it look cool, you master it. For 1 year you love it, 1 year you like it, and then you've sort of seen it. So if you can go past the aquarium without having to look at it, then change is king. It might just be a matter of changing some decorations, changing some fish, or it could be a matter of completely changing it. So if you've had axolotls for a bunch of years and you find that you really like them, but you're not really magnetized to them like you used to, sometimes the best thing to do is be a bit ruthless, bring them back to the shop and change over some fish. So we might then put the heater in, change it to a tropical tank, because I am a big fan of change is king, and I like to be a little bit realistic with my hobby. And as much as you say, oh, well, I'm going to love these fish for the rest of my life, you know what? It's not a dog, it's not a cat, it's not your son. It is something that that is a hobby, and sometimes being realistic, change is king. Now, Safe. Safe is a very good quality water ager. I'm very happy to see that. Now we've got some GH powder. Very happy to see that. We do not need that today. We are definitely going to use this today. We've got some KH powder. Very happy to see that. I don't need that today because our GH and KH level's high. We have another vacuum. No harm that. We have a fine net. Oh, I love these things. I reckon everyone with an aquarium should have one of these because if you ever see a bit of waste in the water, you just scoop it out. You need the fine nets, not the normal fish nets. It's for a little bit of a scoopy scoop to remove a little bit of physical waste. I think these things are excellent. Very happy to see that. We've got a algae scrubber. Yep, beautiful. I pretty much couldn't go past getting a flipper. So a flipper is like a little magnet cleaner that just sticks in the aquarium. I love them. And they give it a clean, takes you 2 seconds. It's got a little razor blade on it. It works a treat. And we have a test kit here. I'm proud that you've got a test kit, but I don't think you've ever used it. These days, people tend to just bring us a sample in, but testing water is absolutely everything. Fish keeping is 50% water quality, which obviously you can test or we can test, and fish keeping is 50% food quality. So this food is quite good. I am very biased towards Danichi because it's a slow-cooked food, not a pressure-cooked processed food. And I love Spectrum's wafer for your walking fish. It's a full diet. I also love New Life Spectrum's probiotics because the probiotic has the probiotic bacteria in it, which means when the animal poos, the bacteria in the poo eats the poo. Also, a bit of frozen food or a bit of worm or something like that is also very good for these guys. But whatever's getting done here, I think the feeding is really quite good. So I'm very happy with everything here. Now, if algae does persist, something you might want to consider is whacking in some little algon pouches. There's that really good-looking guy again. Look at him. They're a little pouch. You throw them in the filter. After a couple of weeks, you'll see them swell up and you can chuck them out. And then that will help to remove your nitrate and phosphate, which is what causes your algae. Now, sometimes buying these sorts of products is a great thing to buy it and just put it in your fish stuff. Because for some reason, when you've got products like this on hand, ready to go, you don't tend to need them. So I'm a big fan of preparation. So if we bought that, throw it in there. If we get algae, start using this product. Now, this one here is more for preventing the algae growing, as opposed to something like the algae fix, and that's there for killing the algae once you actually get it. But you also need to be aware that if you're going to use high quality medias like this looks like real polyfilter here. Maybe not. If you're going to use high quality medias like polyfilter, there's no point using the algae fix because the algae fix will get sucked out by the polyfilter. Now, I'm a huge fan of polyfilter. Polyfilter will adsorb and absorb anything impure out of the water. So you buy it, and then it basically just polishes your water over a period of time. It really reduces your need for water changes because it will also remove accumulants. Now, your two main reasons for water changes is if your nitrate and phosphate level is going up, or if when you do a gravel clean, if your gravel is quite dirty, then I'd like to see you doing more water changes. Looking at this gravel, it looks like it's very, very clean. So if your nitrate and phosphate is not too high, your gravel is not too dirty, then the only other thing we need to be aware of is accumulants. So accumulants is pheromones, phenols, and various things that we don't know, we don't understand, but they build up in an aquarium. So doing water changes helps to defuse down those levels. Or we can just put some polyfilter in, and the polyfilter will remove all of those accumulants. So polyfilter will remove everything bad from the aquarium without removing good things. So if your gravel is clean, your levels test right, and you have you have polyfilter in the water, you could make a decision to reduce the amount of water changes that you're doing. Now, if you have lots of fish, then doing more water changes is absolutely and totally a priority. If you have less fish, then doing less water changes is an option that you do have. Okay, now doing a gravel clean, as expected, this water is crystal clear, which means this gravel is very clean. So therefore, this aquarium can absolutely have more livestock. If the gravel was super dirty, then you either need to be doing the cleans more often, or you need to question how much livestock you've got in the tank. Now you can see the water falling back into the aquarium nicely now, and that process of reaeration is very good, but you might find that frustrating because that makes a little bit of a weeing water sound that you may not impress with. The other thing to be aware of is that inside every pump, the one there and one there, is going to be an impeller. And if you ever notice the flow reduce, then you want to clean out the impeller. So you pull the impeller out, you give it a good clean, put it back in, Bob's your uncle. Probably do it at least a couple of times a year, or if you see it slow down its flow.